if advertisement is the soul of the market, is war the engine of the economy, and so the market, or is it the transmission of the economy and so the market? In this video I recycled once again data I used for another video that I put into the description. I used data of military expenditure as a median of the GDP, so a percentage that comes from this file that has a proper documentation, and the recycled data from here that I used to understand if the rate of profit has a relationship with conflicts, and the answer in that video was yes. Rate of profit, as a review, is the state of the health of an economy, in this case the G20 countries. So we want to understand if expenses in the war machine drives the health of the economy in G20 countries. And a simple way to do this is to do a simple correlation that I did here, and you see a strong correlation but on 70 rows. If we do a chart, we see this linear correlation materializing, but we see something weird, and we will ignore this for a while. If we do instead how military expenditure depends with years, we see a negative trend with a local increase in the last years, and it is something that you can see also in the video in the description. So if I were not a statistician and an accountant, I could build a mathematical model to explain this health key performance indicator of economies as a function of the military expenditure. I could simply do a formula that says 4 times the median GDP expenditure is the state of the health of G20 economies. In this case I get this value, and you see that it's not so different from the real value. If I calculate the difference or delta of all these simple predictions, at the end of the day we have a mean error rate of 1.51%. So we built a very simplistic statistical model with a great error, because it is extremely low, but of course it is not so easy to conclude that military expenses drive profits. If we move on JASP to repeat in part the analysis, and JASP is a statistical software based on the language R mostly, we run the correlations, we see a high correlation between those two I discussed also before, but you notice also, as the video in the description, that the more the year and the less the profitabilities of those companies. If we move to, let's call them, more rigorous correlations, they are Bayesian correlations, we see basically the same values, but Bayesian correlation also provides 2 more considerations: the prior and posterior, and the sequential analysis. I generally focus on the sequential analysis because it is more easier to understand, but the problem here is that we have such a high correlation that this peaks to infinity, so the program can't plot them, and an extreme value gave us the same kind of non-output for these other 2 variables. I want to make you notice though that here the correlation is positive between this and this, as I showed also here. I meant this value of the correlation. But if we do another kind of analysis that is less rigorous, than use the Bayesian correlation, and that is partial correlation, that means we evaluate this correlation cleaned by the effect that here can have. We have something different. That is Colab of Google. Basically, I run the code on the computer of somebody else that you see here. I installed the package that allows me to do partial correlation. I uploaded the data, I did a simple check, and I did a first control, that is the histogram of our target variable, that is the profitability. And you see that here we don't have something that I stress in almost every video, that is a normal distribution. If we had a normal distribution, we would stop at this part. Here we have a B-model distribution. So here you understand more. In this chart we had this kind of weird cloud of points. But anyway, if we go to do the partial correlations, we notice something that is weird. We have to look first at the estimate table. We see that this variable, that is our target variable, and the expenditure have a negative correlation. And here is positive. And this is a big problem because it involves knowing a specific field of statistics that deals with the confounding factors, mediation factors, and so on. We see that this negative value is also very significant statistically. So we have to keep it if we want to explain our target variable with this variable. Here I did the normal correlation and you see that we have the same value that we have here. Again, you can see two different tools, two different results. A small sign, a very big effect. Then I did another check, that is auto correlations, to see if the past explains the present and the future, and the answer is no for our military variable. If we do the first model with all the variables starting with 0 as rate of profit, something that is not realistic, we have a too good model that almost explained 100% of our health KPI. But if we do another model, that is the one with the military expenses and without fixing the y at 0, that is the realistic case, we have a model that explains almost the 40% of our target variable. And notice again that here in the estimate we have a positive value. What does it mean? It means that the more those countries spend in war, and the healthier their economies. Let's collect the garbage, let's say. We have this tool that is partial correlation that says you have something negative, and partial correlation, it is more rigorous than simple correlations. But then we have on JASP Bayesian correlation that had a positive correlation and it looked stable. We have correlations that are positive and significant, and the model that have a positive estimate for our variable. So now we have to use the head. We have to reason. If 3 out of 1 say one thing, we have to follow the majority. And the third element is common sense. As I did in the introduction, there are some reasons to consider war as a boost for the economy or engine or transmission, depending also on the metaphor you use. If we take this analysis as conclusive, it has many consequences. For example, that hiring, and so the condition of the job market, are better during war times. As Keynes said in the 30s, it is not as one Bush said that you create jobs cutting taxes. No, the job market, and so creating jobs, depends on profitability of the economy, and profitability depends also and not only on how much you spend in war. You understand that if you are in the United States, that is the petrol of the world, of course you will spend more in military expenses than minor countries or non-superpowers. All this to say that companies can't control all the variables, or they can't control everything about a KPI, in their case, revenues. If you want to understand how a macro variable that doesn't depend you at all because you don't have the tools impact one of your KPIs, so you can understand more of the demand and save on certain efforts or even hiring, you can contact me on the contact page of enterprisestatistics.com. Bye and see you the next time.